At about that time, I realized that the Swami needed a better place to operate from. For one thing, the lofts were not on the ground floor. The first loft that he was in was 4 stories or 4 floors up. The second one was 3 floors up, and I thought that he needed a better location to operate from. I took it upon myself to find such a location, but I didn't know how to go about it. What I finally did was I went to a newsstand where a newspaper called The Village Voice arrives before any other newsstands. And I looked in the lofts or storefronts for rent or for sale section and found this place called 26 2nd Avenue. And I went to the nearest telephone booth and phoned and made an appointment to see the rental agent. I think I saw him the next day. It happened very fast. So that was the day that I rode my bicycle. It was a very sunny day in Manhattan, and it was in May or June, and it was kind of warm out, and I rode up and put my bicycle, I locked it on a parking meter, and waited for this rental agent to appear. When he appeared, his name was Mr. Gardiner. He looked very bouncy, kind of. That's the way I would describe the way he looked. He wore a blue denim pants and a t-shirt. And the other person that was there with him was, Prabhupada came a few moments later, but the other person that was there with him was a fellow named Carl. Carl and I had become friends. He lived in the area. So finally, Prabhupada came along after Mr. Gardner. And Mr. Gardner and Prabhupada and Carl and I went and sat on the inside. And he said that this place is for rent, 26 2nd Avenue, and I'm willing to let you have it. And he told us that it was going to be $100 per month. And we said, okay, we'll manage it. We kind of looked at each other because we didn't know where the money was going to come from, but eventually between Carl and I, we figured we could raise at least $100 every month. It was a very small amount, actually. And Prabhupada agreed to that. And he said, actually, we can make you, and he was speaking to me, and Mr. Gardner, a trustee of our society. Would you like to be a trustee of our society? He said to Mr. Gardner. And at the same time, he gave Mr. Gardner the 3 Bhagavatam books that he had brought with him from India. And Mr. Gardner looked very kind of flattered to hear that he would be made a trustee. Trustee is kind of an unusual word. It's more than just a member. It's like being a senior person of an organization, like something really upper class. And Mr. Gardner liked that idea, and he said, but instead of paying the monthly fee, and this is all new to me, a monthly fee. I never heard about a trustee or a monthly fee or organization that didn't even exist. And Mr. Gardner was very impressed with the books, and he said, okay. And Prabhupada went on to say, instead of paying you $100 per month, we'll make you a trustee and that's $15 per month. So we'll only pay you $85. And Mr. Gardner he was a little taken aback because he hadn't heard that before, but then he agreed to do it very miraculously. And he said that he had another place in the same building that Prabhupada could live in, an apartment. And Prabhupada, and we all kind of like looked at each other, where were we going to raise the money for that place too, because that was only going to be $85. And finally we decided to do it, and Prabhupada agreed, and that became his first residential quarters, right across from the storefront on 26 2nd Avenue, through the courtyard and up 1 flight of stairs.
Did it, being a trustee, after that point, was there any official function that you served, or was it just like a ploy for him to negotiate the money down? Hold on. Okay.
Being a trustee didn't seem to carry with it any responsibilities, because after this incident at acquiring the 26 2nd Avenue storefront, it kind of like never came up again. It was mentioned very briefly, but it never actually came up again. And a little later on, Prabhupada had his organization incorporated. But the trustee and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that all seemed to exist before it became official.